Hello and welcome to this workshop on self-care. Calm the noise, self-care as your foundation. Self-care is about identity because how you take care of yourself, the self-care you bestow on yourself informs your subconscious of who you are, what you believe yourself to be worthy and deserving of. And from there, your subconscious adjusts its expectations of the world. And really, what you want it to expect of the world is only the best, because we often get what we expect, don't we? In case you don't know me, my name is Katrina Horn, and I'm a life coach, and I help my clients connect to that higher self that I'm going to be talking about today and for the next 5 weeks. I've put together a higher self series with 5 workshops where we dive into different aspects every time to help you connect more to that higher self. And when I talk about the higher self, it doesn't mean that there is something below that's not as good. It just means that your higher self is the part of you that has got access to so much more information and knowledge and insights and intuition than where you might be operating from most of the time, which is the ego self, which is run by your subconscious. So that part of you, the ego self, is very much in reaction mode, and the higher self is much more in the design mode. So that's what we're going to be talking about over the next 5 weeks. Today is about self-care, calm the noise, self-care as your foundation. Next week is going to be about emotions. I called it Master Your Emotions, Find Peace in the Storm, so that you don't have to be swayed by all of your emotions, right? Well, mastering emotion, well, let me not go into that. I've got so much to say. So workshop number 3, week 3, is about quieting the mind to break free from overthinking. Workshop number 4 is about listening to your desires, because that's where we want to get to, where you reconnect with what you really want, so that in workshop 5, you can live with purpose, where you align that higher self with your life, or you align your life with the higher self, however you want to look at that. But my wish for you and my intention is that this will help you take a step back and start really reflecting on how you want to design your life, because you get to, right? You can actually design your life. You get to decide. And wouldn't it be wonderful if we were all living that kind of life, where we were in charge and our life reflected what we want it to reflect, and not just what we are living on default? So whenever we're talking about self-development, it's not about judging ourselves. So whatever I say today, please don't use it against yourself, right? We are not upbraiding ourselves. We are not looking to critique or to criticize or to judge in any way. We are just looking closer at how we function, at our patterns, to be able to extract awareness, to be able to discern where it is we could up level. And when I up level, I just mean make it better. And I am going to talk a little bit about that today, because self-care as a foundation is a fantastic opportunity for all of us to up level. When we up level, we get more of what it is we really want. So I aim to be here for about half an hour. I hope you can stay with me till the end. If not, please don't worry. If you want to use the chat, please feel free to comment or ask questions. If you're watching the replay, you are just as welcome to comment and ask questions. You will have to do so either by sending me an email or by commenting in the comment box below, or whatever it's called on YouTube. Anyway, you are welcome whether you're here live or whether you are watching the replay. To start off with, I would like for you to think about self-care as a caring older person who's looking after you. So, some of us, when we were growing up, self-care wasn't modeled to us in the shape of a caring adult who took extreme good care of us, right? Sometimes, although our parents were probably doing their best, it didn't really reflect the self-care or the care that we wanted, and that was most supportive of us. I talk about the higher self, and to me, self-care is really what allows you to show up at your best, and that the self-care is what you put in place so that you can show up at your best. So it's not just about having the manicures and the massages, it's really about what goes on in your mind, what you are thinking about yourself, and how you're treating yourself. So there's an inner inner self-care and an outer self-care, if I can call it like that. And so let me take you through all of that. And I talked about this caring. I like to think of it as an older person because they know better sometimes. I mean, that's not always the case, but let's say a wise elderly person looking after you and really putting you in the environment, in the company, in the position where you are the most nurtured. So to me, self-care is not about complacency. And that's why I'm talking about this better knowing elder person, because it's not about telling yourself, oh, just relax, sitting back on the sofa with a glass of red wine watching Netflix. That can feel good some of the time, but it's not really self-care. It's a coping mechanism. So what I'm talking about today is not how to cope with life. It is how to thrive through life. So it's not about rewarding yourself when you're feeling down, trying to bolster yourself in a kind of lifestyle that is not really ideal. It is to help you design the kind of life that you want to be living, where you are thriving and where you are not sort of just getting by in survival. So that's really a difference to operate in your mind. And I think we sometimes find that the most caring thing for ourselves is to drop into a coping mechanism, which could be overeating, over drinking, over shopping, over something. And if it helps us in the moment, why not? But it cannot be something that we call self-care, right? It cannot be something that is built into our lifestyle, because if we have a lifestyle where we are coping, like on a regular basis, it's really the lifestyle we need to be looking at. So this elder person is not complacent. It's more of a taskmaster in the sense, like a benevolent one, the taskmaster who wants the best for you. And sometimes the best for you is a little bit difficult. Imagine if you want to move to Italy and you want to learn Italian, well, then that self-care would have you prepare for it, perhaps by learning a bit of Italian, perhaps by finding out more about where you want to live, and perhaps by putting out feelers of the whatever the situation there, and so it could be a little bit like perhaps not so much of an effort, but could feel a little bit like effort or something that you have to do. So if we take the have to out and we think about want to do, how can I prepare so that I take really good care of myself as I go into this new situation, perhaps moving to a different part of the country, to another country, changing jobs, having a new boyfriend or girlfriend, something like new in your life. How can I nurture myself the most so that this will have me show up at my best most of the time? So I don't think anybody on earth is always at his or her best, right? But it is what we want to be aiming for. We really want to be looking at how can I show up better? So what can nurture me into that space? So I'm still with the preamble. We haven't really gone into the juice of it because there's so many things I want you to be aware of before you start your self-care, working out your routine and all of that. I just want you to be aware that really who you think you are, who you feel you are, really how can I say that? It precedes you. It's like part of your presence. It's part of who you are or your energy or whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm quite a confident person. So when I'm sitting here talking to you, I feel quite relaxed. Like, I just feel like we're talking between friends and I can show up as myself. But if I was really insecure and I really felt, oh, I don't know what to say, and oh, maybe they won't like me, and all of that, I wouldn't be showing up in the same way. I'm sure you'd agree with me on that score, right? So if you can integrate that into how you show up in life, if you can look at how that influences how you interact with your environment and with people, and just notice, oh, yes, actually, if I've filled up my own cup, if I am nurturing myself the way I want to be nurtured, to be able to show up as my most confident, my fully expressed self, then what? What is that? And this is where we dive into the juice of it. So, if you're with me so far, I want to talk about your inner and your outer environment. The inner environment is what goes on the inside, like what's going on in your mind. How are you talking to yourself? And if you could just right now take sort of a little tour inside your mind, and I find it so striking, like with all of my clients, myself included, it's like we find it so difficult to look ourselves in the eyes in the mirror and say, Katrina, you are so beautiful. Or, Katrina, do you know what? You really are so intelligent. I haven't yet met a person who didn't sort of flinch at that and think, oh, I can't say that, right? We don't think we can say that. But really, why not? Because if I'm saying that, I'm not saying that I'm more beautiful than other people. I'm not saying that I'm more intelligent than other people. I'm just saying I'm one of the beautiful people. I'm one of the intelligent people. And it doesn't take anything away from anybody. Would you agree with me on that? Really, when you think about it. I mean, what if we just could be really, really kind to ourselves in that way? And I know, like, I've got a cold sore today, so you would perhaps think, oh, she's not showing up at her best. But really, I am under the circumstances. I had the most fantastic trip to Marseille. I live in France. So we were coming down from the mountains to our home here. We stopped with friends in Marseille. We went to the beach, but going to the beach was walking a little bit out in the sun, and I forgot to put my protection on. So I had sunshine on my lips, and I immediately get a cold sore. So we had to walk a little bit to get to this beach, this little beach. Maybe you've been to the Calanque. It's really magical. And we were all on our own because it took a little walk to get there. So, I mean, it's worth having a cold sore for that. So I think I'm absolutely showing up at my best. And I think I can also look myself in the eyes, in the mirror, and say, Katrina, you are so beautiful. What do you think? I'd love to know, not about me, but about yourself. Of course, beauty is individual, right? We don't need to have any standard we have to live up to, but can we just sort of tell ourselves that there's really nothing wrong with us, that we're really blooming fantastic and amazing? Like, wouldn't that be nice if we changed into that kind of talk? Wouldn't that be just so, so nice? And just notice if you're sort of flinching back at that, thinking, oh, I couldn't say that, right? Really, couldn't you? What if you practiced? Maybe then you could. I think we all deserve talk like that. And that's really part of that nurturing inner environment. It's being kind to ourselves. So I think there's something in us. We've been brought up to thinking, oh, but I must be aware. I must be really critical because that's how I improve. Right? Telling myself, oh, you didn't do that well. We somehow believe that oh, that means I will be aware of this and do it better next time. But really, it doesn't work like that. Education doesn't work like that. Bringing up children doesn't work like that at all. Judging people, judging yourself, and telling yourself off and being overly critical is not helpful. Of course, you want to spot things you can improve. Of course, you want to be vigilant. But let's be so kindly. And again, this elderly person looking after a child, what kind of relationship would they have if the elderly person, the adult, was really, really caring about the child? What would they say to them? And can we adopt the same kind of self-talk that this kind of elderly or better knowing, more knowledgeable, more wise person would have? That higher self. And can I just say here that our higher self can only see that we are fantastic and amazing. That's how our higher self sees us. So it knows that sometimes we get it wrong, like sometimes we make mistakes and all of that, but that really doesn't change who we are. So we are allowed to get things wrong, and we can still let ourselves know that we are amazing, because getting things wrong doesn't mean that we become unworthy. It doesn't mean that we become undeserving or any such thing, right? So that was the first thing in the inner environment. Another thing is really, like, I'm very obsessed about conversations. Tell me if that's you, but I really can't be bothered to have boring conversation. Do you know what I mean? Like listening to people talk about uninteresting things. I mean, I'm just not interested. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, well, if I'm spending time with you, I want it to be either inspiring or at least interesting. I would like it to be stimulating. Like maybe you can give me some new ideas, some food for thought. I really don't want to be talking about your latest holiday if you're just making a list of the things you saw. Like, I want to be talking about impressions, emotions, thoughts, feelings, all of that. So I'd invite you to think about the conversations that you are having. Are they really nurturing that you at your best? Are you really making space for them? Or are you giving in to the noise, like where you feel that you have to be talking to a lot of people, perhaps superficially, because, well, that is better? Or are you willing to say, look, all these people don't really nurture me, so I'm willing to let go of them to focus perhaps on less, but better quality? So I'd really like for you to just think it over. Just think about actually the conversations I have. Are they the ones I want to be having? Fair question, right? And if not, don't panic. Don't panic. Like the other day, somebody asked me um, how I got rid of the people where I didn't like their conversations. So it's not about getting rid of people. Of course, you can get rid, or you can stop seeing people, or some people you can stop seeing, like maybe not family, maybe not colleagues, but some people you don't have to cultivate. But also, you can just bring something different to the table. Like if you don't enjoy the conversation at lunchtime at work because it's really boring, well, maybe you can bring in something new, try it out. And if you're unable to influence the conversation, well, maybe you can think about, well, I don't want to be spending time with these people, really. And when you become really selective, well, I think other people will self-select and some people will just disappear. And other people will just be more interested in you and feel more connected to you and feel that you are sort of uplifting them. And I mean, lots of people bond through negativity, right? It's so easy to bond over saying, oh, our boss is really the most horrible person and he doesn't treat us well. And you can bond over that. Do you know what he told me the other day? Like, But is that really what you want to be focusing on when you think about it? So self-care to me is about the conversations you instigate, the conversations you cultivate with other people, really make them something you want. I'm not saying you have to have stimulating or inspiring conversations the way I want them. Could be anything, but really, are they the conversations you want to be having? Are they uplifting you or are they dragging you down? Are they draining you? Think about it. And the last sort of item in your inner environment, I would say, is the content you consume. So when you're watching your screens, when you're scrolling and all of that, could you just be cognizant of what it is you are consuming? What is it that you're putting into your mind? And I find so many people like, I don't enjoy watching violence. In fact, I don't want to watch violence. And people say, no, I'm okay. Well, really, are you? Are you okay? How can it be pleasurable to watch people being killed or mistreated? I mean, I don't understand that. Why would you want to spend time watching that? It's bound to have an influence somewhere. Maybe you're not aware of what it's doing to you, but I think if you could see what it's doing to you, to your subconscious, to your feeling body, I think you would object. So, what content are you consuming? And what does this content make you think and feel, really? Because, like, lots of people scroll a lot on social media, and I think it's a perfect opportunity to go into comparison. And is that really necessary? Like, if I look at millions of supermodels in magazines all day, I will find it very difficult to look myself in the eyes in the mirror and tell myself that I'm beautiful because I will have all those references in my mind, and they're not really references I've chosen. I've been sort of, they've been fed to me, if you see what I mean. So I think we could all gain by being a lot more selective. Yes, you're right. We are beautiful people. We are, aren't we just? So, what I'm saying here is really be selective. Be selective with the talk, how you talk to yourself, the conversations you have with other people, and the content you consume. Is it supporting you at being at your best? And I get it. Like sometimes we just want to flop down on the sofa and watch Netflix, and there's nothing wrong with that. There really isn't. But be aware, am I doing this because it's just like, "Ah, I must have it. It's a need. Or is it a want? Like, oh, I really fancy relaxing now with some Netflix series watching, whatever it is you do. I mean, I've got nothing against Netflix or series, but is that how you want to spend your time? And of course, you can choose a show and watch this show because it uplifts you, because it inspires you. I mean, I enjoy watching beauty. I love everything that is beautiful. I love sort of good stories, and I can enjoy watching that. But if it's, again, just to be able to relax, well, try and explore different ways of relaxing. There are so many ways. So that was a mouthful, wasn't it? Let me know in the comments if you've got any sort of questions. I suspect this is not what you expected by self-care, is it? Like, we can talk about morning routines and we can talk about a lot of things, but actually, I've got a free audio course called Exquisite Self-Care, and I can post the link to that so you can go there and get some ideas for what you could be doing for self-care. I'm sort of going straight to the source, and I'll leave you to be resourceful and find, well, what are the things that would support me, really? What are the things? And of course, anything to do with meditation, journaling, going inwards, being present with yourself, spending time with yourself, all of that is gorgeous self-care, isn't it? And of course, you could have a morning routine in place, you could have an evening routine in place. There are so many things, but I think it's completely individual. So find something that really works for you, that really, really supports you. Please. Could be anything. And it could be watching beautiful things on Netflix or whatever. Like that could also be something that really stirs your soul, that really nurtures you deeply. So, having said that about the inner environment that you want to create, I also would like for you to consider that if you could create a lot of self-awareness where you would be able to accept the parts of you that are not so delightful, like if you could practice brutal honesty with yourself, thinking that, oh, this part of me is really not so enjoyable, and I'm still worthy, and I'm still lovable. So an example would be if you think of a time where you weren't at your best, such as perhaps you were rude to somebody, you were rude to your parents, or you were rude to, like, you were rude. You can sit down and sort of mull it over and say, yeah, it's true, I was rude. So you're not denying that you weren't perfect. Like you are admitting, yes, I was actually rude. But I was rude because I felt I was attacked, or I felt threatened, or I felt guilty. So acknowledging that I had this behavior because of a feeling, and in the moment I reacted this way, which was perhaps not the best. Acknowledging it doesn't mean that you have to be shameful about it, that you have to feel shame or tell yourself that you're wrong or there's something wrong with you. That's not it. You've reacted from that ego mind, which is not your higher self, and it was just a reaction. But if you can allow yourself to recognize that, oh, so there is this part of me that came out that wanted to be mean, and I'm still lovable, I'm still worthy. Do you see what I mean? So we're not making ourselves into saints either, is what I'm saying. We are aware that, yes, I'm lovable, I'm beautiful, I'm intelligent. And sometimes I've got this part of me who just lashes out and I'm mean or rude. Oh, that's interesting. Let me investigate. Let me get really curious and say, oh, I felt under threat. Oh, why did I do that? What triggered me? All of that sort of becomes self-aware in that way. That can be a very, very useful self-care item to be more self-aware and to know what's going on the inside. So I could also invite you to go there. So depending on where you are in your self-awareness journey, in your self-development, in your spiritual journey, think about what you can take away from here. What is something you can go into today? Perhaps just one thing, not all of it, just one thing. And how can you apply it now, today, in your life, so that this doesn't just stay information, it actually becomes transformation because you're applying it to your life. Really want you to think about that. So let me move on to the outer environment, which is, I would say, just as important, because we are influenced by everything and everybody around us, aren't we? So I always invite my clients to up level. Like, how could you up level your outer environment, your home? Maybe at work you can't change, the decor or the environment at all. Maybe you can. Maybe you can bring in a plant, or maybe you can bring in something beautiful, but maybe you can't. But where you live, how could you up level that? And I'm very, very into decluttering. I don't enjoy clutter. I enjoy beautiful things. So I don't mind stuff being around if it's something that I enjoy. But I don't want clutter and I don't want my cupboards to be full of things I don't use. So I'm perhaps, a little bit much on that. I go through all my cupboard once a year and I go through and I sort it and I get rid of stuff. I donate or I recycle or I throw out some things because I just don't use them or I don't like them anymore or something like that. So I would really invite you as part of your self-care to think about, well, what is around me, really? What is around me and how can I up level? And it can be as simple as having your water in a different kind of glass. It could be having fresh flowers. I mean, it doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be anything that is expensive. It could be something just by tidying up or cleaning or polishing the windows or something really to take care of the visual of where you are. That too is self-care because we we are being influenced by everything we can see and everything that surrounds us. It can be the noise level where you live. It could be whatever. Just start noticing and think, how can I make this even better? That's something I always like to think about. How can I make this even better? So my house is pretty amazing, but I'm always thinking of things I could do to make it even better. If you don't like the word up level, just think about make it even better. And I find that seeing how many people live, I find that there's something about cars, like they can be the most ambitious people at work and the most fantastic, intelligent people, but sometimes they drive around in very dirty cars. And I think we've got a huge opportunity there to just go and clean our cars out so that when we get to put ourselves, our gorgeous bodies and our souls and our higher selves and our ego selves and our everything into a car, well, let's make it into something that is enjoyable, right? Let's not put ourselves into an environment that is not at all conducive to well-being. We want it to reflect back to us that we are so super worthy, that we deserve only the best. Of course, I'm not available for a dirty car. Of course not. I want a clean car. And I would say the same with clothes. Like some people find it really offensive that people want to look their best because, oh, I just want to relax. Yes, but why not relax in beautiful clothes? What's wrong with that? Why not relax in beautiful colors, in something that you look good in? Why wouldn't you? Really, why wouldn't you? So have a look at the clothes you wear and are they really reflecting the life you want to be leading? Like perhaps not where you are right now, because to my mind, we're always going somewhere. We're never static. So when you design your life, you're always going somewhere. And we're going to be talking about that later. You've got direction in your life. You are aiming for somewhere else and you're becoming somebody else. Or maybe you're not becoming somebody else, but you're becoming more of who you really are. It's a different way of saying it. So when you look at that person, where it is you want to be, well, are you really dressing as her? And wouldn't it be wonderfully supportive if you were dressing as the person you want to be, even if it's in the future? What if you started dressing like her now? To me, that is also part of self-care. And feel free to disagree with me if you're here live. Feel free to feel really offended by what I'm saying. You can comment in the chat, or if you want to, if you're on the replay, you can comment in the box below or send me an email. But these are really some of the things I find so useful to take a look at when we are looking to be intentional with our self-care. And by intentional, I mean that we are looking at who that person is. Who is she really? And what does she need to be who she is? So if we are just getting by thinking, oh, I must slog away at my job. I must be getting up ridiculously early every morning, and I must whip myself into gear to flog myself into the car to get myself to work and just get on with it, and then sit in the traffic jams to get back, plop down in the stuff. That is not the kind of self-care we're looking for. That doesn't need a lot of self-care, right? That needs a lot of compensation, a lot of coping mechanisms. What we're looking for is to design that person we want to be. Maybe it's that successful person, that creative person. Maybe it's like my dream is to live in a chateau. So I'm always looking at, oh, what will I be doing and what will I be thinking and feeling when I'm in my chateau? And let me bring some of that in here. Let me practice being that right now. So, can I just invite you to think of self care in that sense? What are the elements, inner and outer, that would support me in being more of that gorgeous person that I can be, that I'm perhaps even meant to be? Does that make sense? Let me know. Let me know. Let me know. So that was sort of an introduction into what self-care can also be. Of course, self-care could be what you put into your body, what you eat, but I'll let you be the, what shall I say, the judge of that. Like the specifics of it. Just make sure it's something that really suits you and that really supports that person you want to be. So what to do when people around you are offended or triggered when you try to wear beautiful things or have a beautiful home, how to deal with that friction. Yeah, that's such a good question, Sophia. What can I say? I tell myself, let me know if this is helpful. If people don't like how my home looks, I believe my home looks beautiful, but maybe it doesn't look beautiful to other people. But if they love me, they are so thrilled that I find my home beautiful. If I like this necklace, some people find it hideous. I love it. I absolutely love it. Why wouldn't I wear it? I love it. So if people don't like it, they're free to tell me, but I just won't make it mean anything. I mean, they're free not to like it. But if they love me, they are so happy that I'm wearing it because I like it. Do you see what I mean? So the friction is only if you make their disapproval mean something about you, because they can really be free to disprove. When people come and have dinner here, I like to make a beautiful tablescape, and I love to have the beautiful glasses out and the china and all of that. And some people, they say, oh, don't bother. Well, it's not a bother to me. It's enjoyable to me, but to them it doesn't carry the same value. So they think, oh, it's a lot of bother to get out the beautiful things, but really, it isn't to me. So that just means we don't have the same opinion, right? It doesn't mean anything else. It doesn't mean that I'm wrong or they're wrong. It just means that we're different. So what about you wearing all your most beautiful things and feeling like a queen and just noticing, well, if people object to it, well, it says more about them really and their incapacity. Is that a word? I don't know. And their incapacity to, well, to see things differently. Maybe they're just like with blinkers on and think this is what you must wear. I don't know. What comes up for you? You're allowed to have a beautiful home. You're allowed to have beautiful clothes, right? And the people who love you will be thrilled. They'll be thrilled the more beautiful things you allow yourself to have. So I always let people self-select. The people who take offense to me, and believe me, people do. I mean, they just self-select and they get out of my life. So if people want to comment on why are you wearing that silly necklace? I say, oh, do you think it's silly? I think it's beautiful. What made you say it's silly? I mean, I'll just have that conversation. Very helpful. What who loves you and the others are just not relevant. Exactly. It, it's really just a difference of opinion. And if we can allow a difference of opinion to be okay, and we can still communicate, like we don't have to be best friends, we don't all have to love green necklaces, right? We are allowed to be different, we are allowed to think different things, and we can still have a conversation. We don't all have to be in agreement. I know that's not really what the world is experiencing at the moment, but for those of us who don't enjoy putting other people down, like why can't they have a different opinion as long as it's not offensive to me? Well, I mean, why not? Why not? So we've got the right, don't we, to have exactly what we want. And if people find that difficult to deal with, maybe they're just not our kind of people. Or maybe they need a little bit of education, and that's okay. So I can tell them, I'm wearing this green necklace because I really like it. And it's okay that you don't like it, but for me it's pretty. So let me know if you've got any questions or comments. I'd love to know. Also, if you're here on the replay, feel free to ask me questions or comment. As I say, if you want to take my Exquisite Self-Care audio course, it's free, and you can sign up for it. I'll put the link somewhere in the descriptions. And that has more sort of specifics on what you can bring into your life. But I think really the best thing is for you to feel into it, to discover it yourself. Oh, actually, I feel so supported when I just take 5 minutes to meditate in the morning, or if I take 2 minutes to look at myself in the mirror and tell myself something positive, or if I read my book first thing in the morning, or if I get up earlier to do some stretching. Whatever it is, I mean, there is no right. There is no perfect way of doing things. It could change. Like, I don't have a routine because I don't like routines, but I've got like a whole library of things I like to do for myself. And so I just feel into, oh, this morning this feels good. Oh, this lunchtime that feels good. And tonight this might be an option. So I'm sort of, I've got it in my awareness. I've got all these tools and things that I can support myself with, and I get to choose. How does that feel? I'd love to know. How does that feel if we can just choose the things that support us the most? So I think that's really part of designing your life, isn't it? It's deciding and feeling empowered to decide without anybody telling us what or how or why, but just deciding this is what I'm going for. Let me know. If if you want to come along next week, where we're going to talk about mastering your emotions, finding peace in the storm, we're going to look at how emotions could be running your life and how they can have you feel reactive and drained and sort of stuck in emotion at the prey of your emotions. Um, I want to talk about how your emotions could be understood instead of an emergency to just be a signal, not something you have to react to or take action on, so that you can process them and hopefully feel a lot calmer. I like supportive habits and being able to select more. Yes, always. That's always more. And we are allowed to have the more when we are going for the more. And we're going to be talking about that in 3 weeks. Um, when we allow ourselves to have the more, it doesn't mean we are not grateful for what we've already got. It just means that there's even more. And there always is. Isn't that good to know? So thank you for being with me today. Thank you for watching the replay. Be in touch. I'll put in the link for my exquisite self-care course if that's something you want to dive into. I shall hopefully see you in a week. Also, if you want to work on this on an individual level with me as your coach, you can have a discovery call, or I call them a life audit session, which is where we go into what that would look like for you. If you worked with me on a one-on-one level, your first step would be to book one of the life audit sessions, and we would together find out what it would look like for you. So this session with me is free. There are no ties, there are no strings attached. So you can book one to find out what coaching is all about, what it is like to coach with me. And then you are free to either invest in coaching with me or not, as you wish, right? It's an opportunity for you. You don't have to do it, but you are welcome to do it if it speaks to you. You are welcome. Oh, great. So good. So thank you for listening. I shall stop the recording and I shall post the link to the exquisite self-care course.